Hi guys, Irina here and welcome back to my channel where I review everything tech. I'm super excited about today's camera comparison video because here I have these three beautiful phones that have one thing in common: outstanding cameras. So let's begin. Let's quickly go over the camera specs, and I'm not gonna bore you with too much information here, but you have to know that all of these phones have ultra-wide cameras and telephoto cameras. The only thing is that the Galaxy S21 Ultra has an advantage of having two telephoto cameras, and you will see how it translates into the real-world photos and videos. As usual, I'll break down this video into categories, and let's start with the portrait mode. All of these phones have a few zoom options in their portrait modes, and I always welcome these features since you could take different types of portraits. And let's take a look at some photos. When it comes to portraits, these phones provide very different shots in terms of exposure, sharpness, and skin tones. Speaking of exposure, my face in the photo from the Galaxy S21 Ultra looks so close to being overexposed, but having made so many camera comparisons, guys, I must say the portraits from the Samsung phones are almost always like that. The skin is not really overexposed, but it's often so close to it. When it comes to sharpness, while I wish the photo from the S21 Ultra was a bit sharper and had more texture, especially on my face, the portrait from the Pixel 6 Pro looks excessively sharp in my opinion. Especially if you take a look at my hands in the next photo, you will see that they look like skeleton's hands, and they never look like that in the real life. When it comes to the portraits from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, I think they're kinda in the middle in terms of sharpness, but the thing I don't like is that my face looks orange in some of the portraits, like here. When it comes to separating the subject from the background, in general, I would say the S21 Ultra and the 13 Pro Max do a better job, especially when it comes to tricky hair. And by the way, guys, keep in mind that you could always adjust the amount of blur in the background on all of these phones. Next, let's take a look at some random daylight photos. If you ask me, all of these phones provide amazing photos. Sometimes they look very similar and sometimes they look absolutely different in terms of exposure and colors. I've noticed that in most cases, the Galaxy S21 Ultra provides the most vibrant looking photos. It's especially noticeable on the greenery, but eventually it always comes down to your preferences, guys. Moving on to the ultra-wide photos. The Pixel 6 Pro has a 114-degree field of view on its ultra-wide camera, while the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the Galaxy S21 Ultra have a 120-degree field of view, so you could fit more into the frame on these two phones. And once again, as you can see, the ultra-wide photos from the S21 Ultra are the most vibrant and vivid. However, all of these phones are pretty much equal when it comes to how sharp these photos look. We'll talk about the night ultra-wide photos later in this video, but now let's talk about zoomed photos. The good thing is that all of these phones have optical zoom. We have 3 times optical zoom on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, 4 times optical zoom on the Pixel 6 Pro, and 3 times and 10 times optical zoom on the Galaxy S21 Ultra. I would say these phones are pretty much equal when it comes to 3 times or 5 times zoom photos. However, the Galaxy S21 Ultra is the only phone between these three that can provide up to 100 times zoom photos, while the maximum zoom for the iPhone 13 Pro Max is 15 times and it's 20 times for the Pixel 6 Pro. And yes, maybe 100 times zoom is not that useful for an average user, but look at this 30 times zoom photo, which I think looks pretty good. A few more zoomed photos for you guys. Starting from 10 times zoom, as you can see, it's quite noticeable that the S21 Ultra and the Pixel 6 Pro provide sharper looking photos. Now let's switch to the front cameras. We have a 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, an 11.1 megapixel camera on the Pixel 6 Pro, and a 40 megapixel camera on the Galaxy S21 Ultra. On all of these front cameras, you could switch to wide angle, but as you can see, we have the widest field of view on the Pixel. And let's take a look at some selfies. I would say I got pretty good selfies from all of these phones. Yes, they're slightly different when it comes to skin tones and overall colors from photo to photo, but I don't think there is a specific pattern here. And speaking of portrait selfies, as you can see, there is no perfect phone when it comes to hair. Now let's take a look at some selfie videos, and I've noticed that everything looks much brighter in the video from the Pixel than it is in real life, including my face, my hair, and even that tree branch over my head. When it comes to stabilization, I thought it was really good on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but as you can see, it's even better on the Pixel 6 Pro and the Galaxy S21 Ultra. And now let's test the mics on these phones. So this has been the sound from the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And now I'm switching to the Google Pixel 6 Pro. So this is the sound from the Google Pixel 6 Pro. And finally, I'm switching to the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. So this is the sound from the Galaxy S21 Ultra. What do you think, guys? Speaking of the night selfie videos, I was surprised that the video from the Pixel 6 Pro turned out to be that poor in quality. It's very pixelated with a lot of obvious noise. Yes, the light conditions were intentionally terrible, but let's face it, the other two phones did a better job here. Finally, let's talk about the photos taken in very low light, and here all of these phones use their night modes. It's worth mentioning that the Pixel 6 Pro and the Galaxy S21 Ultra have a dedicated night mode that you have to switch to, while the night mode on the iPhone 13 Pro Max is enabled automatically, but of course you could disable it if you want. Also, all of these phones have the night mode on their ultra-wide cameras, so we could get these beautiful and sharp ultra-wide photos. As you can see, all of these night shots look different when it comes to exposure and overall colors, but the thing all of these phones have in common is that they provide very crisp night shots, so I cannot say we have a clear winner here. Moving on to the videos, and as always, let's start with a stabilization test. All of the videos were shot handheld, and Wow, it's really hard to say which phone is the best since the stabilization is outstanding in all of these videos. A few daylight videos for you guys, and you can judge them for yourself. And a few night videos for you guys. These are all the photos and videos I had to show you guys, and if you ask me, I don't think I have a clear winner in this test since I had a different favorite in each test category, so I kinda wish I could build my own customized camera setup with my favorite features from all these three phones. That would be awesome. That's all for this video, guys. Let me know which phone is your favorite when it comes to camera performance. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.